Oh, sorry, we're starting. We've been goofing around, which is
Were you,
unlike us.
were you lying back and about to take a nap right before you hit record?
Well, actually, you've been making all these comments because I'm cooking roast lamb about the little lamb, and I was just trying to hide from you, you know.
Yeah,
I'm feeling so guilty because I'm cooking roast lamb. Oh no.
you should.
Pardon? I should?
No, nothing.
Nothing. Do you want to repeat what you've been saying for the last 10 minutes?
Nothing. It's just that you're eating a little baby innocent lamb and and it's okay.
It's thanks. God, I was feeling so guilty.
You're gonna become one with the lamb.
I'm gonna merge with the lamb. Yeah, I can.
Merge
Yeah,
with the lamb. And then
yeah.
while you're eating and you could say, baby lamb, I'm so sorry. No, you can be a part of me. We could be friends forever and ever.
I know. We're gonna be together forever.
We are.
Yeah.
Whew.
Oh, what's what's that big sigh for? Is that something to do with where you are, Marilyn?
Oh my God. Dave's trying to get all metaphysical on me.
No, it's just that you told me you're at a very high elevation where you are right now, and maybe breathing is harder.
Wow, you're so precise. I am I am. I'm in Arizona.
Arizona.
I am.
And
Yeah.
you sent me some photos of snow. Was it yesterday?
Yeah. I was in Sedona for 5 days. First 4 days. It went by so quickly. It was just a flash. And so, in Sedona, there's a lot of very big red rocks. The weather is drier there. It's more
Mm.
desert. And and then I think on day 4 or 5 it started raining, which was the day I was leaving. And then I came to a city came called Williams, which is near Flagstaff. It's about an hour 15 minutes from where I was in Sedona. It's also about an hour away from Grand Canyon.
Mm.
And the elevation is much higher. It's about 2,000 feet higher than where I was already.
Mm.
Yeah, it's unusually high here. And yeah, the last few times I've been here, I did have some side effects from the elevation, but I didn't uh, prepare ahead of time. You have to drink a lot of water,
Oh, why is that?
a lot of electrolytes. It helps with the elevation when you hydrate.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, especially if you drink electrolytes. Electrolytes help a lot. So you can either get little electrolyte pads or you can put salt in your water. If you don't
Yeah.
have any pads on you, you can also put chlorophyll in your water.
Mm.
So yeah, so I hydrated quite a bit before coming, and since I've been here, I've been trying to drink a lot more than I'm used to,
Mm.
and it's been helping a lot actually.
That's good.
Yeah,
So, how are you feeling compared
uh,
to to Los Angeles, where you normally hang out?
where I normally chill out.
Mm.
Let's see.
That's a big question. I just hit that with you,
That's a good
hit you
question.
with that question.
Well, I think something happened when I arrived to Sedona because I just got so tired. Some people get really excited to go there because there's these red rocks. You can hike a lot. But I got there and all I wanted to do was sleep. Yeah, I did a lot of resting. I was very lucky. I had a very kind friend who lent me her Airbnb for 5 days. I stayed at her in her room. It was so cozy, the way she decorated it, so thoughtfully put together and
Mm.
felt like a home away from home. And I
Mm.
just honestly could have spent the whole 5 days just sleeping in that room without coming out.
Well, why didn't you?
There were a few things that required me coming out of the room once in a while.
Oh, electrolytes, yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah. And then I thought about it. I was like, why am I so tired? What's going on? And then I realized that, if you think about it, if you we don't stop to think about what we're doing, we're usually on the go, usually.
Mm,
Especially if you're a person who has a job, which I do, and or if you have family that lives nearby, then there's family to care for, and there's food to buy, to eat, and there's errands to do, and there's just a lot of to-dos, let's say.
mm, mm.
And I found myself being somewhere where my list of to-dos went way down. So I found myself, uh, my nervous system just, I think, kind of crashed and said, what's going on here? Even, and of course, the way the mind works, it 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 wanted to replace the to-dos that I do in LA with doing in Sedona. So it had a bunch of ideas of what I needed to do because I'm exploring Sedona to maybe eventually make a move there, maybe one day. So it was, I got to go check out places. I got to go check out the
Mm.
town. I have to see what opportunities there are. Oh my God, there's the Red Rocks. I have to go hiking. I can't be here and not hike. That's crazy. Who does that? I got to go down and then I got to go get some food and I got to check up on my friend, make sure that she feels cared for because I came and I'm staying in her place. So my mind, all it did was adapt to this new environment, but the to-dos, uh, still were kicking in. And it took a lot for me to just shut the whole system down and go, no, you can't do shit right now because
How
your
how
body
did
is,
how did you do that? How did you?
well, my body, as always, it gives me a lot of help by giving something called discomforts. My body is really good at that. It starts giving me pain. It starts giving me pain in different parts of my body. So I have like four different pains going on in my body that kind of like were like a counter. How would you
A
call
counterweight or something? What's that? I don't
it?
know what
Like
the
a
expression is.
counterweight. Exactly. So it caused me to have to like weigh the pros and cons. Oh, I have a really bad hip, pain in my hip right now, and a pain in my arm. If I go hiking, is it going to get worse? So, okay, maybe I don't really have to go today, Maybe I
Mm,
can go for just a little baby walk today. So that's what I
mm,
did. And then I just waited to see how my body felt. And then my body, if it said no, that was too much, then I wouldn't do it the next day. So my body always helps me when my mind puts me in that doing mode. It goes, no.
yeah.
Has it done that to you?
Yeah, but it's not quite the same for me. I mean, I guess we're all different, obviously. But when I get, because I mean, I'm 70, right? So when I sit around in my RV all day, if I do that, I get a bit stiff. Um,
Yeah.
it's much better now. So,
Oh,
um, and then sometimes I can get even when I'm sleeping, I'll get up. I was getting some pain in my legs sleeping and maybe in my hip and things. And I found that if I go and walk quite a long way, that deals with it. So
yeah.
I noticed that even some of there are quite a lot of older folk living in this town where I'm living, and they all basically say the same thing. They've got to keep mobile. Um, they find if the mo walking, keeping mobile really helps their pain.
Yeah.
Um, and I do have this
Yeah.
weird thing going. Sorry.
Then going and
And I
saying
do
that.
have this weird thing going at the moment. Like, if I get any soreness in my body, I will tend to try and use that that part of my body, even though it's sore, to I have this faith in my body that it'll fix itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, part of this came up. I had this friend, she's a doctor in Denmark. And when I first got back to Australia about a year and a half ago, I told her I'd gone for a health checkup. And she said, "Oh, why'd you do that?" I said, "Oh, my daughter encouraged me to get a health checkup because I'm getting older." And she said, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that because when you go there, they'll make you feel scared about your health and they'll try and sell you all this stuff," which is actually what happened. So she
Yeah.
said, this woman gave this ex-doctor, uh, she gave me very good advice. She said, usually with the body, you get a pain or something, but if you wait, the body will heal itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
I believe also.
So just wait. And then, because she said we go so in this thing, oh, we get scared and we rush to the doctor and you get given something. And then you think
Yeah.
that thing you were given maybe helped you, but maybe it wasn't that at all. It was just your own body fixing itself.
Yeah.
And I had a really good example of this because I was fixing some shoes the other day with, that super glue stuff.
Yeah.
And I got the super glue on my finger and it got onto the shoes. So my finger got stuck to the shoes I was trying to fix.
Oh my God.
So I thought I pulled it off quickly. And then what, so you know what happened? Part of the shoe came off with on my finger. So part of the
No way.
shoe, yeah, a little bit of fur from the shoe was stuck on
Oh,
my finger.
okay.
So I had the sort of shoe material and the glue on my finger.
Yeah.
And in about a day and a half, it had all gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, my God, my skin repairs that fast. I did nothing. It
Yeah.
just healed itself and it all gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, your body is amazing. It can really fix itself.
Yeah. It's very true. It's true. Yeah. You're very right about that. The one of the pains I'm having right now is a reoccurring pain I've had for months and months and months in my left elbow. It feels really stiff, especially when I wake up or in the middle of the night.
Mm,
It'll start really throbbing. And I remember when I started doing strength training, the pain went away. The pain went down.
mm.
I'm pretty sure it went away. And then when I stopped doing strength training, the pain came back. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it's interesting. I stopped doing the strength training at the place because I injured my neck. And I just, I had to be honest with myself. As much as it was great what I was doing for my body, I wasn't feeling the vibe of the place. It just, I had to make a decision whether I was going to keep pushing through because I really needed to work out for my body because everybody's trying to scare the shit out of you, telling you that
Mm.
you're losing muscle mass when you get older and when you're in menopause you lose a ton of muscle mass and it's really important to do strength training and I have friends and family who are being so adamant about it and I'm like I realized I was going out of fear. I wasn't going because I was enjoying it. I wasn't going because I really felt that it was
Mm.
helping my body. I was going out of fear. And I
Yeah.
thought, I'm going to take a step back for a minute and I'm going to go back when I genuinely feel like I'm going for myself.
Mm.
And and then also, can I do things to strengthen the body? They're actually enjoyable. Can I
So,
do that?
so can I ask you, what do you mean by going for yourself?
Meaning that I'm going because I want to care for my body. I just want to care for my body, and I want
Mm.
to. I'm not going because I want to look good. I'm not going because I want to. Yeah, because I want to look a certain way, and I'm not going because of the fear
Mm.
of losing muscle mass.
Mm.
That's not an easy thing because my mind is playing. Sometimes the mind plays tricks, and it goes, well. Is that just an excuse for not going? Is that what you're telling yourself?
Mm.
I have to really think to myself, is that why you're not going? You know what? Maybe there's a little bit of both. Maybe there is, but all I can say is that um, why was I not enjoying going? Well, I know it's so funny. Uh, the people in the class that I was with, all nice, not very sociable with new people. They had, formed a little clique because they had been
Mm,
going there for a while. So, a newbie like myself would come and they'd be still like having their cliquey conversations during the workout. And the coach was always in, they were always joking around, fuck this, fuck that. Can you believe that motherfucker was doing this? And just talking a lot of gossip about things on social media.
mm,
And I realized um, at first I had some judgments that came up, and then I said, okay, I'm going to work through those judgments. That's what I usually do. I
mm,
go, okay. So I keep going and keep being around in that environment. And then I thought, like, there's something about this environment that is just not resonating at all with me.
mm,
And there was nothing wrong with it. I just was not wanting to be in that environment anymore. I just didn't want to be there.
mm,
And funny enough, I got an injury.
mm,
I got an injury and stopped going. So, you know what? To be honest, I don't know if it was an excuse for stopping going.
mm.
Uh, yeah, it's very
Yep.
possible it was an excuse. And then it's possible my body said this is not the environment for you.
Mm.
Who knows? What do you think? Any thoughts about that, Mr. Dave?
Well,
Simple,
it's
very
Miss
standard
Marilyn.
method.
We've talked about this before, maybe just between the two of us, but maybe not in a podcast. That um, I think both of us feel that we, like, how can I put it? We don't really want to maybe join something like something that has a sort of group or community feeling, because then you sort of get into the structure or the rules of that place and you sort of lose yourself a bit. So I noticed since I came back from China, where, I was in a community for like 11 years, which is like huge, that now, anything I get interested in, I don't really want to join it. I might be very friendly if I go there or something like that, but if they say, "Oh, do you want to start with our course or do you want to join our group?" I just don't really want to anymore, because I feel if I join it, I'm gonna be I will take on the patterns or the way people are in that group, and then I won't be who I am. I won't be me. And that's half the story. Yeah, I don't know how you feel, but do you feel similar, or I said both of us feel like that, but was that true when I said that?
I don't think about that related to what I'm talking about the gym. Yeah, no, I didn't feel that at all. I
Mm,
didn't feel like it was a community and I was being asked to join it or not join it. I didn't, yeah, that wasn't the feeling I had. So
mm,
maybe this is a different topic, what you're talking
mm,
about. It's
mm,
valid what you're saying, but I'm not seeing it that way. It wasn't because I didn't want to kind of join the community. It was more that I didn't really feel in alignment in a way
mm.
with the mindset of the group.
Yeah,
And so there was something in me that always felt a little off.
yeah.
And of course, you can just go to a place and just do the thing, do the activity and shut everything out or
Mm,
be nice and then go. There's always that option. But but I think there's something in me that's changing and where I need to feel integrated somehow into something. I need to feel integrated. I need to feel that the intention or the vibration of the place is aligned with my vibration and vice versa.
mm,
Meaning You don't have to be the same, but there
Mm.
has to be some type of harmonization or alignment. And if there
Yeah.
isn't, I start to feel out of place in a way.
Mm.
Um, Again, it's a very complex thing. I know some people might be like, God, why are you making this so complicated? Just shut up and go work out and leave, you know? What's the big deal? But
I
so
think
I'm
that's
not sure.
pretty. I think that's
Does
pretty natural actually, because yeah, but I think it's good that you can. For me, it's good you can say that or have that angle that you just don't resonate with some place, so it's like not the place for you.
hmm,
Because you could, I think earlier in my life when I was much younger, I would take the attitude as, oh, why can't I, mix in with those people? What's wrong with me? You know,
yeah,
like, oh, they're all having a good time. They seem to get on. Is there something wrong with me? So I used to judge myself a lot and sort of get pretty down on myself that I was like I had some issue that I couldn't mix in or something, that
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
But
yeah, maybe isn't that a very natural thing for us as humans? Is that I don't, I don't know. It's where how do you, so you were explaining how you're changing now where you're feeling like you don't want to join something where you start to um, pick up the patterns of that community or that group because you like the feeling of feeling your own thoughts and your own sense of self. And then is it that you do you feel that in that way you're able to explore more in life? Is that why, or is there another reason why you want to feel more free from the patterns of a group?
yeah, it's a good question. I think it's two things. I think my character has always been a character that was trying to be like other people. I never I
Okay.
never was accepting of who I was,
Mm,
because I judged myself, for certain thoughts or certain behavior, and I thought that's not good, So I didn't want to be me. I wanted to be other people, sort of thing. So therefore, the problem I found with that is I went through life not really knowing myself, because I hadn't explored me. So I I feel I've stopped doing that and much more comfortable in being me. And the second reason is that I feel I have this pattern now where I want to go to the source of things, no matter what it is. Like if to understand religion, I want to go to the source of the religion. And to understand anything, I want to go to the source. I don't want what the human people have constructed away from the source or after the source, because it's often very distorted.
yeah.
I want to go to the origins, and I find if I go into a group or something like that, then they have a certain, I don't know, culture or way, but it seems to then distract me from the source of the matter, you could say. So I've
Mm,
changed. I want to go to the pure source more these days.
yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. It's an interesting thing now that we talk about this because I think a part of us feels like we're part of one thing, right? That we originated from one thing
Mm,
and all just different aspects of one another, like when I talk to you, you mirror things back to me, I mirror things back to you. So in a way, it's like, oh yeah, we are one of in the same. We just look different,
it's lovely.
You're
It's just,
female, male, age difference, all this stuff. If you remove all of those forms of identification, you and I are the same.
yeah.
So it's interesting to think of, like if you think about groups that come together, okay, like what again, without the identification, because again, you can call a group that comes together and starts doing a similar thing and starts to
Mm,
follow a similar pattern, a cult, for example, or you can
yeah.
call it just a community, right?
Mm,
You can
mm,
call it a culture community. There's a lot of names for people that come together and really resonate with each other, have
mm.
like a beehive, a beehive mentality, right?
mm,
And then like extraordinary things can come from that. We've
mm,
seen that. We've seen
mm,
people come together, form
mm,
a movement,
mm,
and do extraordinary things. And then we've seen people come together and create a similar pattern, but then a lot of things will happen, a lot
mm,
of chaotic things, and a lot of a lot of the fundamental intention of what that movement had can get distorted, or
mm,
it can go, you know, in a lot of different places. But again, if we were to just remove the identification that we give to things, and we just looked at what is it that is what is it that's happening, is it's a vibration. It's people
mm,
vibrating at a similar
mm,
frequency, coming
mm,
together
mm,
and forming a kind of momentum.
mm,
So it's interesting to think of, like, you and I both have resonated with that very strongly in our life at different times, right?
mm.
But then I think both of us, in a similar way, in the last few years, have been feeling a part of us was not being maybe explored
Mm.
or fully potentialized, because you do lose a sense of like your signature when you join
Mm.
a group, when you join that hive. You that's one of the functions, is that you have to lose the sense of so-called self.
Mm.
And in some communities, the self is a bad thing. It's not good. It's something um, that goes against the community idea, you know. And so you lose the sense of self because it's
Yeah.
not good, part of the ego mind, and that's
Mm.
not good. And
Mm.
so you become part of this group mentality. And so I think, yeah, do you see what you think about this? But I think you and I have been sensing that there's something in, I think we're reconnecting a little bit with the self, the part
Mm.
of the self that
Yeah.
is not the ego. It's not the part of us that's like, I want to be my own island. I'm
Yeah.
my own island in this world. No, it's the
Yeah.
part of us that has its own signature when it came here, and it has many potentials. It
Mm.
has many potentials. One of the potentials is to join the beehive, and it has a lot of other potentials too. It has a lot of other potentials. I feel like you and I, it's more that we've been kind of
Yes.
sensing and following.
Yes. Wow. I'm very excited. What you said, I find very exciting because when you start to use the word potential, that's what it feels like. I discussed this with AI and just like, there's this whole idea, that in quantum science, it's like there's a state of possibility, and then that possibility sort of, what they call it, collapses, and it becomes a particle or something, like a little point.
Mm-hmm.
So I discussed with AI that it's a bit like that in life. Like, for instance, you might say you want to go dating, say you want to have a relationship. So
Yeah.
when you start off, there's like lots of potentials, you could say. You don't know what's going to happen. You walk into a bar, say, thinking, oh, I'd like to meet someone, but you got no idea.
Yeah.
But when you see someone that you're attracted to, then the potentials sort of disappear and you hook onto that one,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But what AI said, they said that's fine because we can't really know life completely unless we do focus on a point, because
Mm-hmm.
then we can never have that fullness of experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and what we're in a way, I sense what you're talking about is like the pulse. Like for
Mm.
moments we like to be so close to someone, or so join a group and be enmeshed in the group or something like that. But after a while, oh, I need to get away, I need a breath, I need to come back, right? So in a way, we might, like in the past, I would judge myself, like I'd be in a relationship and I would judge myself for looking at other women, say, something like
Yeah.
that. And I think that's wrong. And there are a thousand reasons why I could have been doing that. But one of the reasons just could be I was just in the pulse, going close and then naturally pulsing back.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way physics is going, they're saying that is how the universe works.
Well, yeah.
So,
Everything's a pulse, right?
yeah,
The the earth has a heartbeat. It's a
yeah,
pulse. It's a pulse.
yeah. So I
It's
think,
option and release.
yeah, I think, but we've put certain, how can I put it? Um, Societal restrictions on maybe those things, thinking, oh, we should join and stick, or we should be part of this group and things like this. And sometimes being the loner or being want to do things on your own is seen, maybe sometimes people say, oh, they're a bit antisocial or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. So there's certain societal judgments, but I I had an example a couple of weeks ago where in Sydney here in Australia, I like a certain beach. I go to the same beach regularly. And it's
Mhm.
so funny. There's this guy that goes there a lot, and I've seen him a lot, and he looks really interesting. He's always talking very flamboyantly and stuff like that. So I was thinking, oh, well, who is this guy? And one day, finally, we crossed each other on the beach, and and he was looking a bit like grumpy. And I just said, oh, hi. And he said, oh, I'm not sure I want to talk today. Normally, I don't want to talk to people. And I thought, wow, this guy is so honest. He says, usually I come here and I put a special face on so people don't talk to me. Because he said, I don't like people.
Okay.
I thought, wow, I've met there's someone who's really honest. And wow,
Yeah.
I so appreciated this
Rare.
guy for
It's
saying
so
it.
yeah.
Pardon?
It's so rare to meet someone who is really unapologetic about who they are.
Yeah. But the funny thing is that he'd been noticing me. And like there are a lot of social groups at this beach. A lot of people, they've been going there for a number of years and they all get together. And I don't. I feel like a bit of a loner. And but he said to me, he said, "Oh, I said to him, oh, I don't talk to many people on this beach." He says, "Yeah, you don't." He said, "But you're very open. I notice you. You're
Mm.
very open to people approaching you and stuff."
No, okay.
So that got me thinking. So it was like an interesting bit of feedback because it made me think, okay, I'm not really wanting to talk to people, maybe. I'm quite happy on my own, but
Yeah.
I'm perceived as being open.
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised that I could be in that state.
Mm. Yeah. Why? Because those are two kind of contradicting things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we are human. We are full of paradoxes.
And maybe that's okay because normally, like in my life, I've always been stuck in dilemmas. Oh, should I do this or should I do that? But the more I try and learn, it's like you can do both.
Yeah, exactly. We can do both, and we can be both, and we can
And
be all things. And it's part of the human experience. It really is. I mean, it's like that person that asked me a few months ago, what do you do for, he didn't ask me what do you do for a living. He said, what is your what is that word? What is your vocation or something like that? And I said, I'm a human being. That's my main job. And that's because I really felt that. I really felt that
I feel like
it,
applauding you. It's so
it
wonderful.
it's really a job. It's a full, I said, this is my full-time job, is being a human. Now, I said, one of the things that I do is I work at a museum, at an astronomy museum within the context of being human. But, my main, the main job here is this thing. And because it is, it's many things all at once. And we're constantly changing our consciousness. our point of attention, the way we feel about things, the way we respond to things changes constantly. And I think, you can say, oh, the hormones in the body are changing, or
Mm,
uh, there's just so many things biologically that are changing in our body as we
mm,
grow older, what we call grow older.
mm,
Uh, God, there's just so many things that I'm finding out about that I'm doing research on because I'm going through a lot of hormonal changes, and it's explaining to me those changes that are happening.
mm,
And it's like, wow, I I really didn't give much attention to those changes that are happening,
mm,
that are causing actual change in my psyche.
mm,
The biological changes are changing an actual way in the way I look at things, the way I perceive, the way I respond, the way my nervous system responds to things has a lot to do with hormonal changes in the body. And it's, wow, it, it can be a lot of information to take on and to consider, but it's nice to know about also because it's part of the human experience, right? It's just part of us being here.
I mean, maybe it's a hard question, but what is there anything you can put into words about how your perceptions are changing?
Oof, that's not easy. It's,
No.
I wouldn't even know where to start, but I would say, I'll just say what comes to mind. It's so funny. This just came to my mind. Life does not feel like something that I have to accomplish anymore.
Mm,
I don't care if I accomplish anything while I'm here. I don't care. I have absolutely no care to complete, to accomplish, to graduate. Uh, I don't have a motivation for that anymore. That's
mm.
one thing. And it's not kind of not something that I need to like conquer. That word conquer just came to me. Um, yeah, I'm getting much more into a mode of just being kind of like a leaf on a tree, which is interesting because this very famous movement that just happened in the US, it's called the Walk for Peace. It was a group of monks that walked across the US from Texas to Washington, D.C., with a message of just kindness and compassion and bringing peace to, first of all, our own thoughts,
Mm.
and then being able to pass that on to others, right? And I just lost my train of thought.
You're talking about just being, just not trying to accomplish things, and then
Not trying to,
you felt like a leaf.
yes, he gave a talk one day. It was he gave these really simple but beautifully meaningful talks in all these different cities.
Mm,
Every time they would go into a city, they would need to rest at the end of the day of walking, right? They would walk all day from like
mm,
6:30. Every morning they would get up from wherever they slept.
mm,
They would um, they would come out all together. They would do a chant, and then they would begin their walk.
mm,
And at the end of the day, they would end up going to the place that they would be accommodated for the night. A lot of the time, it was inside of maybe the gymnasium of a school,
mm,
maybe it was at a church. These different places were given to them as accommodations, and and they would give a talk, and I listened to many of those talks, and they were just so touching because this is like the heart of America. This is these are places where people are just living, they're just surviving, they're barely making their bills, they have their daily daily kind of obstacles to get through
mm,
in their mind and in their life, and these are people that are just living, just like all of us. We're living, trying to achieve dreams or whatever it is that we try to do as a human being. And he was going into these places and just giving these very simple talks. If I can share, one of the talks just touched me so much. It was cold. It was really cold one night after they walked all day. And they gave a talk at night on a football field. I think it looked kind of like a football field at a high
Yeah.
school
Mm.
in the Carolinas, I think. And and they were there in the cold. All the monks were lined up on these chairs, and the main monk who led the walk, he stood there and he gave a talk. And wow, oh my God, it was so touching. He gave a talk basically talking to the parents about how they needed to make friends with their children.
Huh.
Oh man, it was like it just hit the core of of a human.
Mm.
And even me, I'm not a parent, but it hit me. I said, wow, it was so simple what he was saying, but he said you need to make friends with them, you need to understand where they're at right now
Mm.
in their mind
Mm.
with their phones and the pressures and the social media and everything. You just need to make friends with them. They're not your enemy. They need to feel that you're a friend to them. If
Mm.
not, they're going to be fighting you all the time. And that's not going to bring peace to the world, because you're not going to have peace in your home. You're not going to have peace in your heart, peace in your mind.
Mm.
The reason I'm bringing all this up, I think, is because one of the stories he told that night and that he repeated at many different one of those talks was that we need to see our life kind of like a tree. The tree has different seasons. The tree at one part of its season of its lifetime will bloom. All of its leaves will come alive and express themselves fully, and then they will wither and die and fall off. And
Mm.
that will be another season that it needs to go through. And human beings, a little bit, we're like that. We go through our seasons,
Mm.
go through seasons. And even our lifespan is like a season in the grand scheme of the universe. A
Mm.
life is like the season of a tree. And I have been feeling that way for quite a while now about that. We're here for just a little moment in time. And this is our season to be alive.
Mm.
This is our season. And then we're going to wither away and we're going to disappear, just like a leaf of a tree.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we don't disappear to nothingness. We disappear back into the very thing that created us.
Mm. I'm really thinking about what you said about um how to be friends with your kids. Yeah. It's it's yeah, because I've got kids, but they're in their 40s now. But we went through some tough times when they were teenagers, but good times too. I'm just thinking about that friend thing because um and when I see teenagers now around me, I see quite a few, school kids and kids doing naughty things and whatever, and being uncaring and boisterous and things like that, in society. I think that it's almost like something they have to go through, you know, that feeling that, yeah, and yet, um, yeah, if someone could reach out, and I often want to say to these kids who I see doing things, sometimes, damaging a train or not holding a door open for an older person, just walking through it and let it slam and things like that. I often think like saying, wow, I was you, you know,
Mm.
I was like that,
Yeah,
and then just feeling that connection of, I can understand you, like you're trying to become you, but you don't know how to.
yeah,
So you got no idea in a way how to do it because um you don't see like your parents going through adolescence. You can only look around you, and for me it was the worst time being an adolescent. I had an awful time. So, but still, it resonates what you're saying because I think maybe something inside us, like we always want to be friends, basically. Like I think that's our natural tendency as humans. I think so. I think when the monks who don't have children say that, it's interesting, and I like the guts that they have the guts to say it,
yeah,
even though they don't have children. You
yeah.
know, it
That,
takes a bit.
that's what hit me actually. that these monks came into a very Midwest minded town,
Yeah.
into their life, into their environment, and had the guts to say, and with a different religious background, and had the guts to
Wow.
say, you need to make friends with your kids. And I thought, wow, because I, I was waiting for people to yell. I really was. I was waiting
Wow.
for somebody to stand up and be like, who the hell do you think you are? Telling me to be friends with my kid. And I just remember like I was feeling tense, a little
Yeah.
tense about it. But then I thought, wow, that takes courage to say that in that environment and to just like it just came from the heart. You could just feel it coming from this person's heart.
Yeah.
And it touched that part of the people that were there, possibly.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
And I like that you said, I appreciate that you said that too about feeling your commonality with what you see as like, an opposite, meaning you see these kids doing these things and it doesn't align with your way of thinking about how you think you'd want to be as a kid, as an adolescent. But then you also realize that that adolescent is you, is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of us about how we.
Absolutely. It's can I remember when my eldest, as I remember it, as when my eldest, when she was about 15, there was a film that came out. It was called Train Spotting. Did you ever see
Mm.
it?
Oh, that movie's intense.
It's
Yes.
intense. It's got like they're taking heroin and it's all sorts of things. And it's like a very adult movie, but she was 15. But she was a very old 15. And she said she was going to go and see it with her friends and like they had their way of getting in, because of an adult movie, they had their way of getting into the cinema, I guess. So in the end, do you know what I did?
You went with her?
Yeah,
You went with,
yeah.
yeah.
This is just the two of us.
Oh, just the two of you?
Yeah,
And
I,
she
s- I was
did that?
trying to I was trying to say to her, like, you're not supposed to see this movie and blah 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 blah. But she was going to see it anyway. I couldn't stop her. So I thought, bugger it, fuck it, let's go together. So at least we can talk about it, you know. So we went together, and that was a good moment.
Wait, do you remember if you guys talked about it after?
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, yeah, we talked about it because at this, you go to school, there are lots of drugs. Even, I went to school in London, right? In the early 70s, there were drugs. Half my class was on drugs in my final
Wow.
year in 1973 in London.
What kind of drugs were people doing at that time? Do you know?
Um, most m most of them did marijuana, who were taking drugs. Two of them were taking heroin, and they both died when they're about 18 from heroin overdoses. It was very sad. One of them was a really wise sort of guy, he was a wonderful guy, like sort of guy like a philosopher, but but I think a lot of people were experimenting and
Yeah,
the rock stars were all taking heroin and blah blah blah. But of course they're dying as well.
yeah, a lot of people died of heroin. A lot of,
Yeah. So I never took drugs. I never resonated with a drug.
yeah,
So strange. I drank, but not drugs.
yeah, me too. Um, hey, hang on a moment. Sorry to interrupt a little bit. Sorry about this. My battery's gonna die, and I have to change my configuration of how I'm sitting, because the cord only goes so far. So
So it's
you give
transmission time. So if people want to get an ice cream or a coffee, now is the time to get one. Or check your social media.
one second. There
I'll
we
be
go.
doing all three. I'll be getting a drink, a coffee, and an ice cream, and checking my social media. I do all three.
Hopefully you just won't do heroin. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
It's funny that you brought up the thing about one of the drugs being marijuana because you know how marijuana is legalized now in a lot of places,
Mm,
and now plant medicine is becoming very much more talked about and
mm,
acceptable,
mm,
and how cannabis is medicinal now.
mm.
Interesting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And interesting the evolution of things because in the
Mm,
70s, imagine, or from what I remember when I was younger, cannabis, marijuana was a drug. It was a drug. That's how it was perceived.
mm. Yeah,
It's
some of them did start out as medicine. I think LSD started out as a medicine.
a medicine.
Yeah, it was banned later, I think. Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how the world is
Yeah,
changing.
changing. Yeah,
It's just changing. It's just going through different stages and of understanding, I
yeah,
guess. You know,
yeah.
psilocybin was illegal, and now it's actually being used in hospitals to treat a lot of different psychological
Mm,
illnesses or difficulties, I'd say.
mm.
Illnesses, as so much as just kind of just parts of the mind that harm ourselves and can harm others because we're not able to somehow make peace with the way this human experience works. You know, it's true. It's like it's just amazing. We call, you know, a homeless person who, for example, I'm just using a homeless person as an example, but a person who's on the street and who just like completely lets himself go and just, you know, is asking money to survive and lives at a bus stop.
Mm,
Most people would say that person has a mental illness, you know, or he's yelling
mm.
at people in the street. We would call that a mental illness. But if you really think about it, it's just a person who no longer wants to live by society's rules and just wants to have a human experience in a different way. They just want to
Yeah,
experience it differently. That's all.
yeah,
That's all. It doesn't make them sick. It doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make them even so different. It just means that they want to experience life in another way.
yeah. And like when there's, I mean, you can, in Sydney and here in Australia, you can sometimes you'll see people like in the street shouting at someone, but there's no one there, sort of thing. But for them, there's someone there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like their reality is there is someone there they're talking about, just that we can't see them. So it's not that crazy. So yeah, it looks
And
crazy, but there's something going on there. We have a different awareness to them.
have a different awareness. And they could also just be screaming or talking to society as a whole, to the
Yeah,
whole, which is a collective
yeah,
people.
yeah. They could be pissed off with society. That's right.
Or the way things are going. That's what I hear a lot from a lot of homeless people in my area where I live. They're yelling at society. I stop and I listen to what they're saying sometimes.
Mm,
It sounds crazy to most people, but if you really listen, they're just yelling at the state of the world and the way we prioritize so many things that are not helping us to feel at one with one another. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
That's just creating more separation. Yeah, it's
yeah. I had a good lesson the other day. I I don't know if you have this in Los Angeles, but in Australia, what they did was, I think about the year 2000, a lot of homeless. So what can they do that they could make some money with respect? So they came out with this magazine called The Big Issue, right? So it's like a weekly magazine, and it's basically a magazine of like social issues, right? So the homeless people, they get like a little uniform and a hat or something, and they sell The Big Issue. And for every one they sell on the street, they get a cut of it, they get half or something. So wow, they with dignity, now they've got a job they can do, but they're on the street, so they're not like moving from like the homeless situation. They could, I don't know how exactly how it works, But I got a good lesson the other day. There was one of these people selling, the big issue, and I walked towards them, and I just started talking to the guy. He was an old guy, and we just started talking for about 10 or 15 minutes. And he told me that he'd been selling that magazine in the same spot outside that station for 26 years.
No way. Wow.
And you know what I thought?
No,
How many people in this world hold a job down for 26 years?
that's incredible.
And yet this guy was so reliable. Like 5 days
Yeah.
a week, he's standing there selling this thing.
Oh, interesting.
So I judged him as, a not reliable person, like mentally unstable or something, but he wasn't. Like he may not be able to hold down a job in an office, I don't know, or whatever, but he was so reliable and in a way so stable. But I judged him.
Well, judgment just, you and I both know this, that judgment usually comes just from, I mean, of course, there's a mindset behind judgment,
Mm,
but really what's at the core of it is a misunderstanding. We're
yeah,
just not in the time to understand something. And that's why
yeah,
we judge. That's why when we make the little effort to try to understand what's underlying a situation or a person, that judgment completely disappears because we
yeah,
restore that oneness. We restore our oneness because we then see ourselves in that other. We see ourselves in that other. At least that's how I feel when I judge a
mm,
situation, but then I make the effort to try to understand it. It's amazing. I just feel at one immediately with that person or that situation. It's just like magic.
that's cool because I sort of see it differently, but it's great we have our different ways. So I think that if I judge someone, it's because I'm projecting my own knowledge onto them, but I don't actually know them. So when I ask, if I take the trouble to find out, oh, why did you say that? Or why are you doing that? And I really mean, like, not to fake it, but just to really find out, then they tell me and I go, wow, I never thought of that. So then I don't become them. I don't become me. I become them. It's like, now I see why you did that. I would never have done that, but now I see why you did it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, or maybe it's like another piece of me activated that I never knew existed, you know, and they've done it for me by telling me.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. You see another aspect of yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe that goes back to the potential. We are all full of these potentials, and maybe other people who we call others, because we know
Others.
it's really another, but we see them as an other. But maybe that person is. This is how I see it, which is interesting. You see if this makes sense to you, if you resonate with this. Um, so I feel like every, again, quote unquote, other person is just living out another one of our potentials. So the person that is living, on a $1 billion yacht in the south of France, and
Yeah.
they go to parties and dress up every night and live this very exotic, so-called exotic life. They are living a potential of mine.
Yeah.
Monk, a person who decides to, join a monastery or a monastic society and
Mm.
becomes a monk and decides to follow that life, they are living out a potential that I have within me. And so I really, whenever I feel a comparison with other people, or wow, those people must be having such an extraordinary life, and why am I not doing that? And I start to get
Yeah.
all those judgments. What I do is I really switched my mind about it. I switch my mind and I go, oh no, I'm really happy for them actually, because they're living potentials. But in this experience that I'm having, this one life, this one span of life that I'm living, this
Mm,
one season that I'm living, that's not the role I'm here to play.
no,
That is not my role to play in this one potential that I'm expressing during this time.
yeah,
And so it really like rewires my mind, and it's it doesn't completely dissolve the the comparison, because I can feel that seed in me is still there of like, oh, I would really love to be able to experience that.
yeah,
It would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool to experience being a monk, or being a high society billionaire, or a politician, or an economist, or a physicist. Some people might right now be like, why the hell would you want to be a politician? Well, you know what? It's part of the human experience.
yeah.
It's part of the human experience, right? And it would give us a different perspective of life and
Mm,
of human experience. So why not want to have that experience? Why not?
yeah,
You
it's
know,
in you.
it's in us. All those
Sometimes,
potential.
sometimes I think, oh, gee, I'd like to be a politician. I'd like to, do some good, something like that. I get that feeling, of like to represent people, like really try and represent them, do what they want, not what the politician wants, sort of thing. I feel that sometimes.
You know what, Dave? In a way, aren't we all politicians in a way? What is a politician? Because you know how politicians, they lobby for certain things. We can do that in our own life.
Yeah,
We can lobby for things that we believe in, just in the way that we express ourselves, the way we live our lives, the way we communicate with others. That could be a form of lobbying.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Even when I've gone into the local government office here and said, I don't think it's very safe on the roads in certain parts, and just told them about it or things like that. So I'm trying to, make a change, but I really felt when I did that, I didn't want to, like in our little town, it's too busy, but I was thinking, but it's difficult because you don't want to take the traffic away from the road because so many shopkeepers depend on the traffic. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not easy, deciding things in the community because there's always this question of balance to do it properly in some way. Hey, I was wondering, we thought we'd we talk today because you're out in the countryside and in the wild. So I
In
was
the
just thinking, is there anything else that you want to say about your Sedona, Arizona experience? How you,
before we conclude,
before we conclude, yeah.
I think I'll just yeah, I think this is a process. I'm going through a process of looking at life from a different perspective. Actually, that's really what this trip is, more than anything. It was to um, it was to step out of the paradigm that I was in, which was work, volunteering, family, my little go-tos that give me a sense of meaning,
Yeah.
or sustain my life. Because it's funny how we get into these routines. It's just so funny. And uh, and I wanted to go and just feel what it was like to be out of my comfort and familiar zone, my familiar ways, to start to perhaps uh, consider living out some of those other potentials within me that I don't necessarily explore when I'm in my familiar environment. Let's put it that way. So I'm still in a process right now, feeling through it, and it's been very helpful to step out of my familiar environment. Really, I have always felt being in a familiar environment can be beautiful, and it can also be a really a crutch.
Mm.
A crutch. Um, I've always felt I get uncomfortable when I become too comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just part of my human experience and going through this. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no, when I first lived like away from the city like a year and a half ago, it took me a long time to even be able to describe it. You know, the sense is almost like it was like an unknown for me. I could feel things, but I couldn't put it into words. Mm.
Yeah, it's kind of just, isn't it just exploring, like I said, exploring the different potentials within us.
Yeah,
I really feel that we are unlimited potential, and uh,
that's a lovely feeling. I
it
mean,
is.
when I hear you say that, it feels great.
Yeah, it's just it's interesting how because of the the survival aspect, the fear of not existing, the fear of not surviving, we 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 tend to move towards familiarity, right?
Yeah.
And then that familiarity then kind of locks us in to these very constricting, limited ways, I'd say.
Mm.
And then, like, all of those potentials are just sitting there dormant. They're just there. They're constant. They're just there. They're not asking to be explored. They're just there,
Yeah.
dormant, silently waiting.
But can I ask you, right? You've been away for how long? About a week?
Yeah, yeah, maybe 6 days, 6, 7 days.
So if I would you have said this to like a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Would you have talked about this potential inside you?
Well, I always feel that I have these potentials, but I maybe would not have communicated to you, not in this context, no, because
No.
I would be in my familiar environment. So, but you and I have talked about this before. I
Mm.
think we have talked about this before. But I think physically removing yourself from a familiar environment is very, very important. I always felt this.
Mm.
I moved so many times. I felt like I had to move to explore the potential.
Mm.
Now, the only way to do that was to physically remove myself from one environment and put myself very often in very unfamiliar environments. When I moved to New York, I had known New York a little bit at the time, but it was a very unfamiliar environment. I didn't know anybody. I maybe knew one person, but I
Mm.
wasn't spending time with that person. When I moved to Bali, completely unfamiliar, knew not, had no idea what I was getting into, had never been there. I moved there.
Mm.
I sold everything and moved there. So that was very unfamiliar. When I moved to Hong Kong, very unfamiliar. China, very unfamiliar. I've moved to places where I really, really was going to explore an untapped potential within myself.
Yeah.
And it's
You know,
exciting.
it is exciting. I'm just thinking as you're talking, like, I mean, a person could feel maybe they can't, they're in the sort of routine, they can't, go to Bali, go to China, whatever. But I was just thinking, I noticed that, for instance, in Sydney, I'd never traveled on the bus much before. So when I came back this time, had no money, so I didn't buy a car. I just traveled on the bus. And my God, it's so interesting on the bus. My God, it's amazing who you can meet, what you can see. You see life, you know. But I would understand maybe in some cities people may not feel safe doing certain things. But if you can, just if you drive, try taking the bus or try walking or I don't know, or go to another side of town. I don't know. There are lots of things you can
Yeah,
do or go to that strange art museum or whatever. Even though I don't know, you might think, oh, it's not really. But sometimes when I go to something I'm not that keen on, but when I get there, I go, wow, this is amazing what these people have done. And you get this admiration for life through what people can do, other people's potential, you might say.
exactly. Which is our potential.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
our potential because it's something we could have maybe done, but
yeah,
but it was
yeah.
just a potential we did not explore or express in this existence that we're in right now, but someone else did. So instead of feeling the comparison and the judgment, the self-judgment or guilt or shame or whatever it is that we sometimes go to, we could really look at that person and go, wow, that is so cool that that person is exploring that potential on my behalf in a way. And I
Yeah.
often go, wow, that person just looks so carefree. Wow, they must not have parents who judge them, you know? Maybe they grew up in a very freeing environment, and maybe they just feel completely free to explore that side of them. I don't have that yet, or I have it. I haven't expressed that potential, and I just
Yeah.
get so happy that someone else is doing that sometimes, and it really helps again to bring
Yeah.
me back at one.
Oh
You
God, I
know,
had that. Yeah, I had that the other day. There were two ladies actually, two young ladies. I guess they're in their about 30 years old. They're obviously in a relationship and they were just so in love, these two. And they were just hugging each other and kissing and whatever, just in a public place. And I got such a feeling of love just being close to them. It was like buzzing out of them. And I really wanted to say, oh, go over to them and say, thank you so much. I feel so much love just seeing you guys, but I didn't have the guts to do it. But I really wanted to.
love it. You
There you go.
communicated it telepathically.
Telepathically.
We're
Yeah.
all telepathic. We're you're going to see in the coming years, man, it's going to come out a lot more. The
Oh,
potential of telepathy.
so we don't have to do Zoom anymore. We just
We'll just think about each other, Dave. It's going to be extraordinary.
that'll be the podcast. That's hilarious.
If people want, by the way, I'm just dropping this because it's pretty extraordinary. There's a podcast called the Telepathy Tapes. If
Oh,
anyone's interested in exploring telepathy, how it's being explored by people, um, by autistic people are being found to have extraordinary, beyond human
wow.
telepathy abilities, and it's just incredible. So it's a podcast called Telepathy Tapes.
Telepathy tapes.
It's quite
Fantastic.
extraordinary what's being found right now. So I really say this meaningfully, that I think that we are going to explore so many untapped potentials within years. It's going to be extraordinary. It really will be. We just have to be open minded. That's all. We don't have to believe everything, but at least be open minded to our potentials. That's
I
all.
wonder, what should we call this? What should we name this episode? You got any ideas?
Does it start with a P?
Yeah, it could do. Okay, dear.
Okay, it was great talking, and thanks for making the time. And
Thank
yeah,
you for
thank
making
you.
the time.
I want to just say thanks to Dave because we were supposed to meet at 7:30, and I was still napping at 7:30. And Dave sent me the Zoom link. Marilyne was in a deep sleep. So thank you. And he was cooking a little baby lamb. And he
I'll
put
make a
that
pod. Let's make a podcast out of the baby lamb.
he, and he put his cooking aside so we could still do this episode. And I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you for being so adaptable, and just making the time. I really appreciate you for
But
that.
thank you because you sort of had just woken up. You're very sleepy boys, and you did well. Your potential has been maximized, and all that. Okay.
Hey, have an awesome day. Enjoy your meal.
Enjoy your sleep. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Toodaloo.
Tips.
Toodle pip. Bye.